And we're now joined by our economics analyst, Bill Rodgers of Rodgers University. Bill, Congress and the Obama administration recently agreed to modify unemployment benefits. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So to start off, to set the stage, we all heard of the 99ers, right? That during the recession and this weak recovery, people could get up to 99 weeks of unemployment insurance benefits compared to the standard 26 weeks. And the rationale was, right, we are not creating jobs, but since February 2010, we've added about over 3 million jobs at the national level. And so states have now, and people are beginning to start saying, well, there are jobs being created, so you need to go out, right, and get those jobs. But, and so recently in this new legislation, right, that extended the payroll tax up to the rest of the year, it also said that starting immediately and going through the remainder of the year, we're going to be beginning to cut back on the length or the duration at which you can get long-term unemployment insurance benefits. So instead of being a 99er, now by the end of the year you may be a 73-weeker. That's going to be the highest level that you can receive in states that still have unemployment rates that are like 8 or 9%.
But in the low-rate states, you're talking 26er.
Well, in the low-rate states, by the end of the year, those length of durations will be at the sort of 45, 46
Okay, so still
weeks.
a chunk of time there.
That's right.
But overall, that'll save a lot of money, correct?
Well, there is money saving, but we also have to remember that we have a variety of states, set of clusters that I've looked at. You're seeing some sort of research, actually active research that's been going on close to where we are at Rutgers by myself. And one of the problems I have with the way they figure out what the duration should be is they solely look at the unemployment rate in your state. So if you're high, you get the 99 weeks. If you're lower, you get sort of the 40, 50, 60 weeks. But because we've come to this period where we haven't had a lot of job creation, right? There are a cluster of states where we've seen, yes, low unemployment rates, so which would suggest the benefit lengths should be shorter. But when you look at job creation, many of those states have had very little job creation, right? And so my fear is that you have individuals in those states who are going to be having their benefit lengths cut, right? But there's no jobs to go to.
So you might have a real competition between, say, the upper Midwestern states where you haven't had as much job creation but lower unemployment versus California, Florida, where you've had huge impacts from the economy, from the recession, a lot of folks out of work, where they're competing state to state.
Well, yes, and that's been one of the challenges that we've seen in this recession is typically in early recessions when there's when you have these disparities in terms of opportunities. So North Dakota is a perfect example where they've had very, very strong job creation, but there's a cost to move to North Dakota. And particularly the big cost in this recession and recovery has been the challenges that people are facing with their homes, being underwater in their homes and not being able to sell them.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's something that you always have a concern with, and that is sometimes we see that unemployment rate go down when, in fact, what you tell me is it's because people are leaving or have left the job market, and that group is sort of in its own trouble, if you will.
That's right, that's right. And so I identified about 10 to 13 states in this current round of this legislation that have unemployment rates that are below the national average of around 8.3%.
Which sounds great,
but the but is that those states on average have had very little, if any, job creation. So what it may look like that people are, when you're just looking at the unemployment rate, people are benefiting, but actually people in those states have probably left the labor force. And so going forward, one of the things that the government or public policy needs to do in working with the private sector is making sure in this new round of legislation that one, the Georgia Works type of job training program that was just passed, that can be expanded in those states and targeted for those individuals where they can get job training while they're getting unemployment insurance. But also states can now also apply, so these states should apply for waivers where they can experiment with providing subsidies, work subsidies to employers so they hire workers. And then finally, we need to make sure that we're providing that job search assistance and even what's contained in this current new piece of legislation that will go into effect that the President did sign is that along with what the Department of Labor already does, that they will work with people who have been unemployed for 26 weeks or more and they'll do some profiling and figuring out, okay, what kind of job search assistance do you need? What kind of readiness do you need? What kind of job training skills do you need? And so we have to target to those kinds of states.
Right.
Yeah.
Real quick, though, how does this play out politically? We are in the midst of a campaign season, and everyone's talking about jobs.
Right.
Sometimes the nuances get left on the cutting room floor, but how do you see this playing out politically?
Well, I mean, a large part of it depends upon what happens to the growth. If we continue to get the sort of the growth we've seen over the last 2 to 3 months in excess of 200,000, right, then focusing on utilizing the unemployment rate as your marker or determinant for where benefits should be set, that makes a great deal of sense. But if growth slows down or growth doesn't take off in these areas that we're not seeing, in these states where we're not seeing growth, then I think you push ourselves more towards direct job creation by the government, such as summer jobs for like teens that we already do,
Sure.
that we may have to expand, but you may have to do it for adults.
Right.
in some of these
Thank you
states.
so much, Bill. This is just an ongoing conversation.
It
It's
is.
so nice for you to be here because as I said, it just keeps going. Hopefully one day there's an answer, Bill.
Oh, there will be. There
and
will
you
be.
can come to solve it.
Yes.
Thanks so much
I'll
again.
retire.